Good morning. We are in Genesis 38, but a quick breakdown of what we're doing here at Preach Facts, y'all, is that, and we're on Preach Facts at YouTube. What we're doing here is essentially trying to save the world. I know, but save ourselves, save the world. If we save one, it's our duty to save our own selves through the Christ. But the point of this channel is that the message is not really out there about how serious this is and how imminent this is to me. I'm not saying everybody needs it. I'm not saying that I know I need it. And I'm going out of my way to try to make sure I'm getting there. And I think that's what we need to do. And without preaching too much, that's what we're doing here at Preach Facts. I'm stating a case that the message is not out there. We're not taking this seriously enough to a very deep degree. Okay? We're not taking this seriously enough, if at all. So we're way off course as the world. Not everybody. Probably 95%. Probably about 90%. Okay? Probably about 90% is way off. Okay? And that's me too. Okay? So what we're doing here at Preach Facts is we're taking a step back and a second look and making a commitment to hear sound theology and hear stuff so that we can make adjustments. To make the proper adjustments that we need to make so that we don't go to hell and burn and have suffering forever. That's what we're doing here at Preach Facts. Okay? We're taking an extra initiative. We're going the extra mile. The whole 9. We're doing whatever it takes here to make sure that the message is across, that you're headed to judgment. And it's 100% real. Okay? And it has payloads now and later. And punishments now and later. That's what we're doing here at Preach Facts. Okay, we're essentially trying to save the world. I'll bring my cape next time. Okay? It's not me. This is the Lord Jesus Christ doing all this. But this is the thesis of this channel is that the message is not really out there. It's become superficialized. Most people don't even believe in God. It's a commonplace to debate it, or it's just a thing that has become, well, you believe what you want to believe, da-da-da-da. Guys, that's not the case. That's what we're doing here. And I'm not going to spend this whole video talking about that because I have a whole channel of videos talking about that. Okay, we're not just in Genesis 38. We've been started from Genesis 1. Okay, we're doing the Bible from front to back here. Okay, that's what we're doing here. We've taken a solid commitment to try to reach the world one word at a time from the beginning. And throughout the process, we're addressing issues as they arise or come to mind. And we have confidence that that's going to come as needed from the Lord. I know it's working for me. I know that this is not my channel. This is something that the Lord had on me. Okay. So that's what we're doing here. We're literally trying to save the world. Okay? Yeah, I'm a convict. Yeah, I've been to prison. Yeah, I used to do drugs. I don't anymore. I'm clean and sober. Okay? Yeah, all that stuff. We're still trying to save the world. Okay? Through the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, that's what we're doing here. Now, we're going to get more intimate with the message and the theology and stuff as we go. But if you need stuff, it's there, man. That's what we're doing here at Preach Facts. I tried to think of a summary that would be palatable, but I said we're trying to save the world. That's literally what we're trying to do here. And ourselves. We can't save the world unless we save ourselves. And we're not going to save the world. But it says in Scripture that the harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. So that's not going to be us. We're working. We're going to see what we can do here at this channel. And you know, on YouTube, my thesis says vital, critical, relevant truth necessary for today's world. That's pretty much what we're doing here. Vital, critical, relevant truth. Relevant, necessary to today's world. So we're literally trying to save the world from ourselves. Okay, so there you have it. There's the thesis. That's what we're doing here. And I'm not sugarcoating. I literally can tell you with a straight face. That's what I'm trying to do. Come on with your Purple Hearts. Come on with your Medal of Honors. It's okay. With my assigned parking spaces and everything like that. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to make it. So guys, we're in 38. After going from chapter 1. We've done through Genesis 1 through Genesis 38, and it's all documented on YouTube. Okay? It's not all stupid, silly shorts. I do that just to give somebody a reason to watch. It's entertaining sometimes, to me anyway. I make the shorts as something... I make the shorts and the music videos and stuff just to have something to spice it up, because it's not all everything that the Lord has is not all boring. It's more exciting than anything you can imagine. So I just try to keep it spicy by throwing some musicals in there, and you know, we might have some more cool stuff in there to me, just to spice it up a little bit. Not spice it up, but just something to keep somebody watching, give a little bit of different mood sometimes. Motivate your day or something. So guys, that's what we're doing here. Yeah. I'm not exaggerating when I say we're trying to save the world. By saving ourselves first. Okay? It's your responsibility to save yourself. Okay, you have to save yourself before you can save somebody else. Okay, so let's save ourselves. That's what we're doing here. And it may just mean that me saving you is going to save me. I don't know how that works. It's magical. But that's what's going on here at the channel. Okay? We make a video every day. 50 minutes long. Okay? Every day. Every day. So if you're not getting enough at your church, you feel pressured, you know, you can get all the religion you need right here at this channel. Don't quote me on that. You can get an overload of theology that's Christ-backed. Everything I say is in defense of the entire Bible. Word for word, 100%. That's what we do here. I defend the Bible 100%. Okay? And this is a forum. I have a forum on the live. We had to take a week off. We'll have a forum where we welcome all the toughest questions. This is not your regular study. This is not your regular church. Okay? I don't want to put labels on it like preacher, Messiah, whatever. I'm just me trying to give you what you need from the Word in a most general, understandable way that you can. And understand the seriousness of this to the degree that it really is. That's what we're doing here. Okay. So, with that being said, we're going to put on and we read the Bible because it's all through here. Every chapter, all through the Bible is preaching about, all of this is relevant because it all points to the trueness of everything. And the messages we get is training us through manifold methods. The stories that we hear and the moral dilemmas that we hear and stuff is sharpening our moral compasses and our ethical stances to see how far off we are. Okay, so that's why all this stuff matters. Okay, So that's what we're doing. But this stuff is just milk for babes. We're supposed to be out in the world saving ourselves and saving others and doing God's work. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Okay? This is not, this is just an instruction manual. Then you have to go and live out your product that you built. This is an instruction manual. Say you're building a table. Now you got to go use your table and eat off of it forever. Okay? And play games and everything else. Okay, this is an instruction manual. Don't miss the message. This is milk for babes. The solid food is living it out. Okay, so we're trying to get the most, and I'm learning with y'all. I got pretty good theology and stuff like that, you know. So I was informed yesterday, that 2 days ago, that I know absolutely nothing about my Bible. But that's okay. I'm reading it now. And that I should go read it. We don't just read here. Okay, we don't just read stuff. We don't just read stuff. We're communing with the Lord through this book. We are literally looking into the face of God in this book. Because what is God? God is truth. Okay? Among other things. God is truth and nothing but the truth. That's what these pages are. Straight truth, facts, period. End of story. Have a good day. And if we're living in God, if we live in the existence of God, aren't we God too? I mean, not at the Godhead. I mean, we're a part of God. Everything exists in Him. That's just Bible theology. Everything exists through Him and in Him. Okay? So, just like the white T blood cells running through your body trying to fight stuff, they're a part of you too. Okay, so we're a part of God too. You're either gonna be, you know, taken out, or you're either for the cause or you're against the cause, but you will be dealt with. We need productive things here. All right, and I use the immune system as an example, that as we are these little entities doing the work to help the body, not that God needs help, but don't expect to realize everything while you're inside the body like one of these white T blood cells. Yeah, you're doing stuff. Yeah, you know what you're supposed to do. You may not acknowledge it or do it, but that's don't expect to understand everything from the inside standpoint. Okay, you're not in the outward head, Godhead, with the realizing everything. You're a white T blood cell, for example, and you're just going through, supposed to be doing your duty, finding antibodies and stuff like that, and dealing with those appropriately. And the body's been used as an example too. So don't expect for everything to be apparent, because the white T blood cells can say, "Oh, what do you mean? No, we're just here. Da, da, da. We're just here. You know, we're just here. There's nothing going on." Okay. But guess what? They can't see everything that we're seeing, although they are a part of you playing a physical role. So don't expect it to understand everything like them. They don't either. But guess what? They're doing their duty like you're supposed to be doing your duty. We're not without understanding here. We have everything here, right here for us, what's going to happen. So look at it like an immune system. You got to fight darkness and evil. You know, holiness, evil, holiness, unholiness, purity, impurity, sins, righteousness. You know where you're supposed to be. It's been informed. So let's go, guys. All right, because there's a lot going on here. It says in verse 38. Okay, so And Onan knew that the seed, verse 9, should not be his, and it came to pass when he went unto his brother's wife, 38 verse 9, that he spilled it on the ground, lest he should give seed to his brother. And to me, this, I know this just popped up earlier, but to me, this is almost an image of, and I know it's a reach. I'm just gonna read on because it's kind of wild what I'm saying, but we need to be fertile ground. God needs to know that this is where God needs to know that we're a good candidate with the temple. Don't grieve the Spirit. It says that in the New Testament. Do not grieve the Spirit. Be mindful of what you're doing and what it's doing to the Holy Spirit. Because if you're doing things, indulging, watching porn, doing drugs, evil thoughts, envious, a sense of not gratitude. You have you don't have gratitude with your attitude. All of these things are not going to be a place. Not acknowledging God, pridefulness. All these things is not going to be a real place for the Spirit to be residing. So don't grieve the Spirit with these unholy mindsets. Because I know it's a reach, but the dude went into her. He was supposed to go in and have intercourse as a surrogate father, because the father he was wicked and he got slew. Okay, so he said, "Hey, go into your brother's wife and give her a child." And he said, "I knew that." He said he knew his seed wasn't supposed to go into her, so he wasted it on the ground. To me, that's almost an image of the Spirit misfiring. Not misfiring, but saying, "Oh no, this isn't good for me. I'm just gonna go over here." He just felt it. You got to be a place for the Spirit to be residing, and that's me or anybody. It can be anything: food, gambling, anything, any type of unholy quality that you have. And I have my own sins. I'm working on them, man. I think, oversleeping, stuff like that. We're talking noon, like literally like 11, 12. Okay. Too much social media. You name it, man. We need to have a sense of what's going on. But the point I'm trying to make is that I'm not just preaching to the choir. I have my own issues. It's not drugs. It's not anything like that. And maybe that's what Paul talked about with a thorn in the side. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm not excusing sin in any way. I'm not excusing sin in any way. That's what we have the Christ for. I don't know. I'm not excusing sin in any shape or fashion. So I'm working on that, how that's supposed to look. I'm not excusing sin. So I'm working on that, man. So and no. And Judah, let me back at 9. And Onan knew that the seed should not. Okay, and back in verse 7 it said, Judah's firstborn was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. Okay, and Judah said unto Onan, Go into thy brother's wife and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his, and it came to pass when he went into his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thy father's house, till Shelah my son be grown, for he said, lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died. And Judah was comforted and went up into the unto his sheep shearers, and to Timnah, he and his friend Hira the Adulamite. So I think he's saying here, let's make sure this man is mature so that he can land the seed properly. Because he said lest he die, he's recognizing that's why he died, because he didn't perform right, and the Lord was upset with that. And that's an image of us, where we're supposed to be performing right. So not in that department, just So let's read on, but there's some really deep stuff going on here. Really, really deep stuff. And so let's read on so that I don't want to have too many. I like to, process these things in a whole manner, these chapters if possible. So at the same time, we got to get everything. We got to get everything we can. And it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up. And I don't read one of those Bibles that have a lot of messages in it. Mine is just straight scripture, and I read it from there. I have a breakdown Bible, but that's not what's going on right now at the channel. Maybe I'll bring that down tomorrow so that we can look at that as a side note. Alright, so I'm going to try to read this through. I know I say it all the time, I never do, but I'm going to read this through and just try to. Anyway, we'll see. So we're at 13, and it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnah to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place which is by the way to Timnah, for she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. There's a lot of moral dilemmas here. See, I know I said I was going to read it through. Verse 15. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned into her by the way, and said, go to, I pray thee. Let me come in unto thee, for he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, what wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? There's a lot going on here. Okay, for one, this is basically her father. daughter-in-law, because her original son died. Her original husband died. He never went in unto her because he knew that wasn't. I don't know what the reason was, but he knew he wasn't supposed to. It was just, it wasn't proper, I guess. You know, he was too old, something like that. I don't really know the reason, but he ended up going into unto her. But there's a lot going on here. Not only is he buying her like a prostitute, he's not even paying her right now. It's, oh, what shall you give me? Obviously, he doesn't have the goat with him, but guess what? He wants action now. So she says, well, let me hold something. Let me get some collateral, you know. And this is just a lot going on here. Not only is burning passion, there's deal making. This is serious. So not only this is worse than Jerry Springer. I'm trying to tell y'all that God's got more drama than anything in the world. You'll never see something like this on Jerry Springer as bad as this. My daughter-in-law tricked me as a prostitute, and I paid a lamb for her, but I didn't pay it at the time. She asking me. So either way, it's a lot going on here, worse than Jerry Springer. Okay, so don't act like the Bible doesn't have drama for you. The Bible has tons of drama, more than you'll ever see in the world. I mean, this is the world. But God is not outside of drama. Okay. God is in the trenches. Okay, God is in the trenches. God is in the trenches. Okay, so no, God is not just up there in some cloud somewhere. No, He's in the toughest situations, in the toughest places, in the harshest conditions, in the worst evil places. He's there, seeking, working, punishing, smiting, showing, elevating, demoting. He's doing all this stuff. He's in all this stuff, man. So God is in everything. Okay? Now there's an end of that spectrum where we're supposed to be. Yeah, stuff exists, but that's not where you're supposed to be. We know that from here. Yeah, stuff goes on. Yeah, God's letting it go on. But guess what? That's not where you're supposed to be. So don't look at that and have the slippery slope argument and say, oh, well, if God can't be good, blah, blah, blah. That's a slippery slope argument. And I don't know if you know about slippery slope. I'm not going to go into it. Just look it up. A slippery slope argument is basically it's a carried away example. Okay. It's going to the worst degree, to a point where something probably won't go. But you're saying it like it will go. It's a slippery slope argument. So a lot's going on there. So let's push on. We're doing good. Oh, and he said, what pledge shall I give thee? And she said, thy signet and thy bracelets, and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it to her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. And she arose and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend, the Adullamite, to receive his pledge. So he sent his friend to pay her the donkey, but guess what? It looks like he got ripped off. This is classic. I mean, you won't see stuff like this. You know, this is looking like a classic downtown ripoff. You know, you just got ripped off. You know what I mean? Because the stuff that he gave her is probably way more valuable than a donkey. So, I mean, than a kid, a goat. So, I'm just saying, I don't know where this story's going right this second, but we're gonna see. So, and then 38:21, and then he asked the men of that place, saying, "Where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside?" And they said, "There was no harlot in this place." And he returned to Judah, verse 22, and said, "I cannot find her." And also the men of the place said, "There was no harlot in this place." And Judah said, let her take it to her, lest we be ashamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told. Let me check that on 38:23 up here, because it's kind of vague right there. 38:23. And Judah replied, "Let her keep the things as her own, or we shall be laughed at. You see, I sent this young goat, and you did not find her." Okay, it was prostitution. Hebrew, I'm looking at a little side note, so. Prostitute, Hebrew sacred woman. So we don't know what we're doing in the world when we do stuff, you know, prostitution, stuff like that. You don't know what's going on, what kind of gods are involved in this, but it's saying something about that right there. There's a side note down here that says that it says Hebrew sacred woman, a woman who served a pagan deity by prostitution. So look out. Like I said, you don't know the stuff that's involved in what we're doing. We don't know what's going on with that. Okay. I'm gonna look into that though after, or one of my, or somebody can look that up for me. Pagan deity served by prostitution. Okay, so yeah, he said, look, he wanted to get his stuff back. It really wasn't so much about paying her. He wasn't really worried about parting the donkey. He didn't give up all his stuff. It's valuable stuff. We're talking bracelets, earrings, you know, staff, signet. So he pretty much gave up his most valuable stuff, you know. And that just goes to show, moving in haste, doing stuff, you know. So and it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, hath played the harlot, and behold, she is with child by a whoredom. And Judah said, bring her forth, let her be burnt. Sheesh. When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man whose these are. And guys, back in the day, that's what happened. And even in other cultures, if a woman was cheated, if a woman was caught being adulterous, they were literally burned immediately. Like, this stuff is nothing to play with, man. So I say that to say that the ideologies that we have in the world and the customs that we have is so far off of what they used to be. And I'm imploring you to understand that they may be right and we may be wrong, okay, about our customs and stuff. Not that we may be, that we are wrong, and we need to take another look and make necessary adjustments. Okay? And Judah said, let her take it to her. No. When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man whose these are, am I with child? And she said, discern, I pray thee, whose are these, the signet, the bracelets, and staff? And Judah acknowledged them and said, she hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah, my son, and he knew her again no more. And it came to pass in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass when she travailed that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, this came out first. And it came to pass as he drew back his hand, that behold, his brother came out. That's cool. So he reached out, tied the thing on the hand, and he pulled back in. So at that point, you didn't really know which one was coming out, because it didn't necessarily have to be him that came out next. You know, he could have came back in, changed position, rolled around. Next thing you know, the other guy comes out. So this is a power-packed chapter, and there's a lot of stuff that we can go back over, and a lot of potential meanings. You know, about principles. You know, stuff like that. We're gonna scan back through it in a second. In Judah. And it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that behold, his brother came out. And she said, how hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterward came out his brother, that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zerah. And you know, you got to say to yourself, it's kind of far-fetched, I get it, but it's just what it is, you know. It's just one of those things. It is what it is, you know. Parting Red Seas, raising from dead, you know, it is what it is. It happened. Like, the baby's going to reach out, you're going to tie a scarlet thread, the baby's going to pull back, you know. And there's a lot of books that were left out of the Bible, like the book of Tobit, stuff like that. It's more like a fantastic thing. But I don't take it as fantastic. Fantastic stuff happens all the time. So I believe every word in the Bible wholeheartedly physically happened. And it's not, none of it is metaphorical, none of it is allegorical. It really happened. And afterward came out his brother, that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zerah. So that's it for 38. Good job. We did that. We're just getting started on that. So just a recap, and I'm doing it with y'all. This is nothing is rehearsed at this channel. This is reality TV at its finest. Say what? So what we're looking at here is an overview. Was that Jacob, he had his 12 sons. Okay. And Joseph was sold. They tried to kill him. They plotted to kill him. Reuben convinced him not to. They said, let's sell him. Okay. So they sold him. And told their father that he had been killed by animals because they found the torn up robe where they put goat's blood on it, which was really just a symbol of, they put animal blood on it, okay, which is a symbol, which is a Christ symbol all day long. The word blessed, if I'm not mistaken, means sprinkling of blood. It's basically covered. It's a God thing. It's a symbol of cleansing. It's a symbol of. But it's a really deep concept. The whole blessing and blood and all that. It's really a deep concept. Atonement and all that. So the blood they use a blood and basically frame a scene to say their brother was killed out of their control. Okay, so he grieves and all that, which is a kind of image of the Christ, and you wonder how that works. How that works to cover us is that God had a lot of emotions over that, just like the Father has a lot of emotions over a son dying. So that kind of works if you look at it like that. How that's a deflection point. A propitiation. It is a deflection emotion from the anger. He goes from a state of wrath to a state of grieving about the son, because there's a lot of emotions with that son, with Christ getting beat and tortured and everything. There's a lot of emotions around that, being the innocent person he was. So when he took all that pain and suffering unjustly, that covered a lot of fury. And if you really get down deep into the mindset of that, you can see how that can be a deflection point from everything else. You can see how that would be a deflection point to pull your attention away from the sin that we have. So much like when you tell somebody, hey, pinch me, see if I'm dreaming, or pinch me to wake up, or you want to bite down on something, so you're about to get a tooth pulled, or something about to happen, they're about to pull a splinter out, and you want to bite down on a block or something. It's a deflection. It's trying to get your attention away from what's going on. Okay, so much like that is a bad example. That's what's kind of going on with the cross in the mind of God. So and with the whole thing, I'm just trying to give you some theology about how the cross works. And it's more than that, I'm sure, but you got to think about all the emotions that when the Father wept, he wasn't dead, obviously, but look at the Father weeping in the blood. I only say that because it's a Christ picture with the blood, that they use. So when we use the blood of Christ on us, that God isn't really looking at us as much as he's looking at the righteous blood of Christ that was spilled. Because that's what the Father here is looking at. He's looking at the blood and how they say he's looking at the fact that he lost his son to terrible things, a wild beast, evil beast at that. So I'm just trying to show you how that works with the cross. All right, now that's important. We made a good point there, and that is a good point, and that's facts. That's kind of how that works with the cross. My theology. You know, that is a big point. That everything that happened on the cross, looking through the eyes of God, how that happened. And how that's a deflection point from and a propitiation. How that's a deflection of the attention of our sin. He's looking at what happened on the cross. That is a big emotional point. You know, and we need to recognize that for what that is. And that's, if you do that, I think we're doing real good with that. How that works. That's how the cross. That's a good explanation of how the cross works from the eyes of God. Okay. You know, would you care if you were getting beaten and suffered and tortured and all that stuff? Would you care? Guess what? God cares too, because that was Him. So don't act like it's not a big point that you get suffered unjustly and you know everything and all that happened, how that can be a deflection point to turn your attention away from something else. Because guess what? When you're getting beaten and all that and hung on the cross, you're not really going to be thinking about your PlayStation and all that and your Instagram. You're not really going to be thinking that much about that at that time. You're going to be thinking, oh my God, I want to come off this cross. I want to stop being whipped. This sucks. You know, that's what you're going to be saying. It's not going to be, oh, you know, where's my next burger? Or, you know. So don't act like the cross isn't a deflection point. You know, for God to look away from sin and to look at what's going on right here. Because God was there in the Christ. Okay, so that's big. We made a good point. I'm very happy about today now. That's some good cross theology, if you ask me. Preach. So, I may not know much. I'm completely oblivious about my Bible, but I'm pretty sure I got a good idea how the cross works. Okay? And it's more than that. It's more than that. There's a lot of stuff going on the cross to the degree that you would never understand because it was going... You'll never fathom the full implication of the cross. We know enough. We know what we're supposed to do. But there's the depth of the cross is way deeper. And it's not over. The cross will echo into the eternity. That is the apex of existence. That is the pinnacle of reality. Everything that ever happened, ever will happen, is coming from and to the cross. Don't quote me, but I mean that's a safe bet. That's a safe bet. You know, that's the final seconds of the game. That's the game-winning shot. Everything that matters is coming from the cross. To and from the cross. Everything up to that point was to the cross. Everything from that is downhill. Don't get me wrong, we got to carry our own crosses. We got to carry our own crosses, y'all. Now, we're finished with 38, and we're out of time. There's a lot we didn't cover. I didn't even get to cover 38. That was something that happened back in 37. Given the overview. So, we did 38. I suggest you guys go read 38, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on with that, and it's all spiritual principles, you know, ethical dilemmas. Moral dilemmas, lessons, prostitution, people getting killed, sperm hitting the ground, all kind of stuff is going on here that is more than just what it's saying. So I'm probably going to go back and look at this stuff tomorrow, or it's going to come. Don't worry. I'm going to go back and probably do a recap on this tomorrow, because about some of the points I'm getting. Because there's a lot here we didn't get. We read it, but we don't just read our Bibles like I was told. Go read my Bible. If reading my Bible is going to get me anywhere to like you were at, I don't want to do it, because that's nothing. You might as well just go read the directions at the Playhouse at McDonald's where the balls are. Oh, you must wear shoes. Oh, no dirty diapers. You might as well just go read the rules at the playpen, because you're not doing anything. No food on the rides. If that's what reading does to get you where you're at, then we're good. We don't do that here. We don't do that here. We're eating the Word. We're communing with God here, trying to get the whole meaning and letting the Spirit work through whatever method He's using. Me, you, your mind, your perception, whatever it is we're using here. The Lord, we're trusting the Lord is going to show us what He's going to show us. And I just gave you some basic cross theology, how that works, because it's not really out there how the cross works. They throw us a couple words, atonement, doesn't that? No, it's not working. We need to really dive into this and soak this in from various aspects and perspectives, various examples and stuff like that. Let's soak this in. Let's stand on all different sides and hear different stories from different types of standpoints that we're at, and the necessary implications, and sit there and soak it in and say, okay, how does that feel? How does that look? How does this sound? Let's hear it from you. How does that sound from over there? How does it look from over there? Let's get a full compass perspective on this situation, because we're not going to get everything. You could stand on Mount Everest. Mount Everest is a big mountain. It's impossible to see the whole mountain. You can't see the whole mountain. You can get glimpses here and there. Boom. You'll see it from over here. Let's see it from over there. But you can't see the whole mountain at one time. It's not possible. And that's the way God is. You could never see all of God at one time. You could see pieces, aspects, but you can't see all of God at one time, or understand everything at one time. You have to understand pieces and have enough sense to realize there is a mountain in front of you. Don't try to see everything at one time, because it's not going to happen. Okay, you go to the east side, you go to the west. You're going to different places, you realize that this is a face, cliffs here, cliffs here, cliffs here. You understand the vastness of what's going on, but there is a mountain in front of you, so don't hear and tell me because you can't see the whole thing that it's not there. Okay? End of story, man. Y'all have a good day. Now, look, we're on YouTube at Preach Facts. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Okay, we're on YouTube at Preach Facts. Alright. If you have any questions, you can reach out at the email at preachfacts7@gmail.com, or you can hit the TikTok. We're on TikTok at PreachFacts7. PreachFacts7 on TikTok. Alright, y'all have a good day.